We're going to be live here in a second.
And you know, this recorded, and people watch the recording too.
Yeah, I think Remy was watching because she said she was going to try and watch when she was coming back.
I think maybe if the conference was on a cruise to Alaska.
Actually, I've been when
kinda
it was in
seems
Anchorage,
like-
and it's pretty, Anchorage is pretty nice, so there's a lot to do.
You can get this near to Alaska. You can get
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, just, you know, you can go Portland to Anchorage pretty easily.
Somebody told me they were flying once an hour between either Seattle or Portland and Anchorage now.
I know it's between Seattle
Yeah.
and Portland once an hour.
No, the Seattle and Anchorage.
Yeah, that's, wow.
We're streaming on YouTube now, so you can
Great.
continue with the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to discuss the city service charge discussion under old business and also the NISC contract relating to the city service charge special project. Who is going to present this?
I am.
Thanks, John.
So in your packet, you'll see that memo or the asking consideration to adopt a resolution to approve the purchase order with NISC. The purchase order is a special data project to add the city service charge to Mac Water and Light customers as a recurring monthly charge. Staff does not foresee any additional costs to Mac Water and Light as all costs are forecast to be paid by the city of McMinnville. As you saw that there were some redacted items, NISC does require the unit pricing and custom implementation details to be kept confidential. This will require some sharing of certain Mac Water and Light customer information with other city departments. This will also require a future amendment to our customer policies, imagine within the next commission meeting. The conclusion is staff recommends adoption of the resolution.
So let's do the easy part first. In terms of implementing the project, we've been talking with the city for a number of months. In your opinion, John, does this contract allow us to do that?
Yes.
So that's the second part. Now, the second part is that that the commission and city staff and the city council have all indicated that, and our staff as well, that no one wants to cut off somebody's water or electric service if they fail to pay a city service fee. There seems to be no question about that. I don't think there's ever been a question about that, but that doesn't want to be done. John and I have worked, it took us a long time to figure out how to do it because one thing we don't want to do is try to create some Frankenstein monster of programming that every time NISC makes a change for all their, how many utility customers they have?
A lot.
A lot, hundreds.
700, I think.
It's
Yeah,
800-ish
utility
plus.
customers to make the billing system better, but then our thing blows up because we have this custom thing. So what, as I understand, we've come up with is the only way to do it would be that when a city service fee gets to be 60 days old, we basically remove it from our billing system and send the city a printout, as John talked about, with the name and the address and the amount that the customer owes, and then they collect it. The problem is that we do not want that if we just say, well, we won't turn off your power because of that. The difficulty is that next month when a payment comes in, if it's just a partial payment, like we tell the customer what they need to keep their electric and water and sewer bill current, NISC software cannot do anything other than apply that first to the old city services fee balance. And so that's why we have to cut it off that way. And then that makes everything else works fine, because then we just have our usual cutoff, right? The usual cutoff process. The notices go out as usual. And we've told the customers under this software exactly what they have to pay to avoid being cut off. Because if we hadn't written out the city services fee, the software would tell them they had to pay that too. Or if they, or if we told them, even if we could fix that, if we told them they had to pay what their sewer, water and light balances were, and then they paid it, what would happen would be the system would unavoidably apply that payment, not to the things they don't want cut off for, but to the city service fee.
Just payments always get applied to the
Yes.
oldest
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
bill on. the
So that's the
system,
problem,
so,
and we believe that that was gonna work. That's what we proposed to the to NASC. I think they've confirmed that they believe that'll work too.
Yeah.
And then last week, there was an email,
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, there was a communication from the city saying, well, we don't want to, we want you to not do that. We're concerned that essentially, we want you to hold the city services fee and keep it in your system and keep billing it until it's over your $45 shut off amount. And then you can do this. But when we looked at it, we had a meeting with the mayor, who asked us to look at it. And we still can't figure out a way to do that without having the next payment be applied to the city services fee rather than to that. So if we, and we haven't heard back from the city, have we?
So
No.
can I ask a clarifying question? Is the number I heard, is it $13?
Well, okay, so it could be $1.30 or $13 or $9.75.
Oh, depending on.
Or it could be a
26.
lot more if it's a commercial.
Commercial customer, right?
And
So the 45 threshold is water and light.
yeah, and city could have a different threshold if they want to turn somebody over to collection, but that's up to them. But we don't know of a way where our system can handle it being more than 60 days delinquent. And abide with everybody's agreement that we're not going to cut somebody's power off or threaten to cut somebody's power off.
Just to make sure that's a 60 day category. So we have a current, a 30 and a 60.
Yeah.
So
Is
Okay,
the
category,
issue with the city is it a resource related one? So like they don't have somebody to do
I
collection.
think part of the issue is the small amount of money, because it could be $2.60.
Right.
I think they don't have somebody to do collection.
Right.
Mhm.
And I think they think that if we stop billing,
People won't pay.
people will see it as an invitation not to pay.
Yeah, I just don't pay and every 2 months it gets wiped out.
Yeah, but that's,
Essentially part of our process though now, because, we have customers that leave the area,
Mhm.
don't pay their bill. What do we do with them? We send them to collection. Now they may come back
Mhm.
and we make them pay the bill before
They
we
turn back on.
they get turned back
these are
on.
water and electric bills,
Right, not city service charges.
Charges. Like
So really the fundamental question is, for this system to work, you'd have to have it set up so that you disconnect for that service. But the commission's been very clear, we're not going to do that.
and the city tells us they don't want to do it either. and I
Right.
believe them. I don't think they want to do that. I can't imagine.
So there's no,
There's no way to go to do this other than what we've got here.
I think another clarifying point too is even though if it's only $1.30 charge, the customer might not be at disconnect when it runs out to that point where their next payment is going to hit that $1.30. But what's happening is we're inflating the next amount we're telling them they need to pay to be from disconnect by $1.30.
And if they pay the bill, the first thing that happens goes to the service.
Correct. And that's at that 60 day, that's where we're saying anything we tell them to pay to prevent disconnection is going to go to that first before the electric, water, sewer.
and so the city doesn't have the resources to be able to manage at that 60 days, but they would be.
See, I don't
But
really
if
know.
they're asking you to do, if it's $45
Yes.
is the amount.
Right.
They
But
probably-
that's
I mean,
really
they don't
not-
want to hire somebody
But
to
that's,
be collecting $1.30.
And it may just
Yeah,
be
that
that
makes
they,
sense.
it may just be that they finally realize what this means to them and how much work it would be, and they want to try to not have to do that work. Not have to do that work.
And the $45 is really irrelevant in this. It's the small amount of money. It could take you months or years to get to $45
Yeah.
at $1.30.
Yeah, and how would this enterprise manage that? I mean,
We
it
couldn't.
doesn't, so. In an email from the city, they've said, we're not interested in the scenario that you
They
presented.
said they
or-
want, they,
They want us to do more research.
I think they're starting to see how many this could potentially be, how many customers, because we do deliver probably around 100 disconnect notices a month. We don't turn off 100, but we deliver some people that are about 100 a month that could be in the state at their next billing. And if we're stripping that many off at that time, they're looking at how many they could potentially get on a daily basis because we bill daily.
The city said, the city, as I recall, and correct me if I'm wrong, it said something like, why is it at the 60-day cutoff rather than the 45? I thought you agreed to, in our last discussion, to change it. And I think our response was that we didn't,
We never,
I think Mark responded, he didn't, he did not agree to do it, and that.
I think we tried to explain that the commission had a strong stance on the disconnects. And that there was ways that urge them to come here and speak their concerns. And also the disconnecting for that. They stated they don't want to disconnect for that, but I think they're just seeing that it could be a lot of folks that are at $1.30, just adding up on a daily basis.
So here's. I having taken way too much of John's time trying to figure out another way to do it from the beginning even. I'm in, from what John tells me about what NASC is saying, that you can't, this is what you have to do, this is the way it works to make it work. Excuse me, I would propose that we sign the contract. And because otherwise we have to, we are be delaying things again, and I don't think we want to do that to the city. That we sign the contract with this in it, and that if they can figure out something, or they and staff can figure out something as the city moves on with all these other parts of the NISC moves on with all these other parts of it, then we can talk about amending this contract and changing the way to do it. But
But they can't work with this contractor.
well, city will not.
They'll be
working-
talking to us. They'll be talking to us.
But where's our, I mean, I don't see where our urgency is to sign the contract. If the city
Yeah.
has raised a flag to say we don't like this and the contract is based on this.
Well, that's one part of the contract. Our urgency is that we have gotten a tremendous amount of criticism from the city for delaying things that we think is not deserved. And I think that we're confident that this is the way it has to be done. And I think that we should, as a spirit, in the spirit of cooperation and good faith, rather than tell them, well, we're not going to sign this and until you figure this out, and put them back another couple of months or another month. I think we should go ahead and sign it. And frankly, if the city just says, no, we're not going to do it, we'll bill some other way, then we'll eat the $21,000 to the extent it's been spent.
I don't agree with that. I don't think we should sign a contract if the partner in the process is saying this isn't gonna work for us. We're spending money on something that, I mean, would we be responsible for that money to pay for that work?
For this project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, I hear what, I know how much work you've put in, Tom, and been doing
Yeah.
this for long, and I know that you've taken the brunt, you and John have taken the brunt from the city for all the criticism, but if they sent a last minute note that said, we understand that this is the process that you guys are, that, and NISC says they can do, but we don't like it, then,
That's not what they said. They said they thought that our staff had agreed to change something, which our staff are
Okay.
confident wouldn't do because they know they don't have authority to do it and they know it wouldn't work.
and, okay,
So I mean, when you're getting
But don't you need them to say like, yes, please sign the contract because they're gonna be paying the bill.
Okay, I mean, that was my first response, frankly. My first response was that we authorize the man in the court to sign it once we get an
Sign.
agreement from the city in writing that this is okay. But frankly, at the time, I thought cooler heads had prevailed and
Yes.
and that we should, that would be seen as not being cooperative and further delaying them.
I understand that. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. There's been sort of this push-pull process
Mhm.
and Water and Light's been presented as a, less than,
An impediment.
right,
a
right,
bad
right,
permit,
right, a
bad
barrier to the process.
permit. Yes,
I don't necessarily think that is an appropriate way of, this is complex to figure this
Mhm.
out. And there's a lot that's
Mhm.
attached to this service
Right.
fee. But I'm concerned about signing a contract for work to be executed that we would be responsible for paying for.
Mhm.
That ultimately the partner who would be reimbursing us for that payment is going to say that doesn't work for us. So I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned that an email is the way that the discussion, I mean, this is a negotiation that should be, we got to get around the table and we have to understand what that contract says and where we have our hesitation. I think I'm concerned that it feels like there's a lot of communication that happens. If they say you said and we heard, and I mean that's a lot of that gives
Right.
me pause. I mean, I think there needs to be a memorandum of clarification after every meeting. This is what we understood. Do we all agree? And it's sort
good
of
idea.
got. I always do a follow-up email. This is what I understood. This is the next step. This is the lead person, right? So so now you have documentation of what was stated and an agreement. But it feels like we're almost there. It feels like we're almost there.
We thought we were.
And I think where this now lies is we've run this to ground. We're at the whatever yard line to get it in. And we're working within the parameters that this enterprise can work with the agent that does our software design.
Yes.
We can't, it's a monument. We can't move it. So how do we go back to the partner and say, okay, this is your system that you're going to have to work on because we've taken this to ground. We're there. Now you have to figure out internally, city, how are you going to manage this? Or is there a write-off threshold? So if it's $1.20, is it a $5 threshold and you just wipe it and say, we're
Or you
gonna,
accrue it for a certain time period.
right? Is there a way to manage that so that it doesn't become burdensome for the organization? But am I right in saying that we've run this to the point where we've got this figured out?
Well, yeah,
Which I think is why we're ready to sign a contract, because
Right.
we know, but I don't feel like we have a guarantee that the city's gonna pay us.
I think there's more work that the city has to do to figure out how to manage these delinquent.
No,
Because
I agree completely.
do you think that to me, that's not a discussion we have with
No,
them. That's a
no,
discussion they have internally
Exactly, but
to try to figure this
see,
out.
but they present the impression that our system needs to do what they want it to do, no matter what. Is that fair?
I think that would be
Well-
fair. It just it can't do what they want it to do. And so what we've come up with is the best alternative we have.
So is it a motion that we are discussing?
Well,
or-
what's presented to the commission for adoption is a resolution that would approve this, what's called a purchase order with NIC, which really amounts for us to an amendment of our existing NIC contract. We signed a renewal contract with NIC in June, actually, I think June of 2021. It's a, I don't know how many, on an annual basis, we spend with
It's
NIC
around $12,000 a month. So
$12,000. Is that just one part of it? Because that's
that's
just,
everything.
is it everything? Okay.
Well, that's the software. That's not,
To sign them.
yeah, that's the software. Then there's also the billing.
There's
and
the
a bunch
billing.
of
I
other
think it's
stuff.
more like twice that. much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but this is just, we're just talking the software.
Just the software portion of it is 12,000 a month. I mean, there's all the mechanical billing portion of it.
And the
We
stamps.
The
the stamps and all that other. So this is an add-on to that. So
Yes,
it
existing
adds what's called a provider. So it adds
Yes,
the city service charge. The water is a provider, electric is a provider, fiber is a provider, sewer is a provider. This would add
a city service
city
charge group.
as a provider. So it's
Provider, yes.
mostly one time. It's mostly a one-time fee.
So let me ask, so we have an annual contract. This would be an amendment to an existing annual contract
And right.
for a years of service or till the end of the current contract.
It would be ongoing. Our contract with NIC is ongoing. It's under terms that we have to give NIC at least a year advance notice of termination. We've set ourselves up a kind of a 5-year look back, or not look back, but 5-year review. We should, as a public body, review this contract probably in 2026. Take
Because we
another
did
look at
it
it.
in 2021, as I recall.
Right.
So what if we put on the table that we have worked with our software designer, they have created this contract, they are going to do this special programming or whatever the terminology is, right? And in the year 2020, the beginning of 2025, we will evaluate its effectiveness. And that allows the city to sort of live within this process. And it feels long, though. It feels like a
Well,
long.
I mean, we can go talk to them about changing it anytime we want. So
Right. It just costs more money.
if something else comes
This
up,
group. Okay.
Right.
yeah, but
Okay.
like we did now, so we don't have to wait that long and we can. I mean, and if the city decided they wanted to do their own software and their own billing, I'm sure we could cancel this. I mean, if we got started this way and then they went to that, I'm sure we could cancel
Yeah.
this.
I mean, I'm only the lawyer. I really don't understand this stuff, but my perception is this is an experiment. This is not,
Right.
it's kind of a work in progress.
And I think I've always approached these conversations of exactly that. We don't know what we don't know. Let's put our best foot forward and try to figure out how to make
a
this
fair
work.
assessment of what we're doing. I've never been through this process before.
Yeah, so we're gonna do a lot of learning as this enterprise. The city's gonna do a lot of learning on its own. And guess what? It's not gonna be perfect.
Mhm.
And there's gonna be
Have that
some
conversation.
things that slip through the cracks, but I do think, I've always thought of it as sort of a pilot. And then we'll work this out and then it'll sort of get to,
But I think where we are right now tonight is, we're gonna, whether it's a pilot that works or doesn't work. As when we sign this agreement, they're gonna start the work that's gonna create a bill for $14,500.
I-
And that is not going to go away, even if the city says they're not gonna do anything, that's gonna stay. I mean, as soon as they start doing their programming, we're gonna be on that bill is gonna come for
Yeah,
that amount of
yeah.
money.
I think it is when it's completed, but yes, it would be.
Do you think that they would stop work and
Well,
bill us for the?
I guess we can go back to
portion they did, or-
what Tom was
I
saying.
mean,
You
it's
can
a
always
contract,
ask. It might be
so, yeah.
prorated or what.
I don't think we should sign it. I agree with you, Kathy. I don't think we should sign it. I think we have a good contract in place, and I think there's an additional conversation that needs to happen with the city.
Can we say that we're gonna sign it as soon as the city signs? I mean.
I think we can have a resolution.
Well, that's what I was
I
gonna
mean,
suggest.
it's like, we don't have to wait till the next meeting.
Sure,
I don't
okay.
wanna delay
Should-
things. I
should-
just want
Yeah,
the
why don't
city
we do
to
that?
say.
If you helped, do you feel comfortable helping staff write that email? Because let me just tell you,
I look to my counsel here.
Yeah, I mean, I think I know where you're going, what you're
Yes,
thinking,
please.
what you're thinking. So, and maybe this, yeah, I mean, that's maybe a conversation we need to have outside of this meeting, but obviously Commissioner Christensen, you're already working for the city?
Yes,
Yeah. So she doesn't have a conflict issue because she's working, this is we're not a private business. The city's not a private business. There are complicated issues for her.
so reason I'm asking is, based on my experience, it is important to the cooperative relationship that we send this, that the message to the city is friendly, right?
Right.
So maybe we could pass this now. The resolution, the motion would say, the mayor and the clerk, that it's subject to getting confirmation from the city that this is an acceptable contract.
Right.
And maybe the letter would say that, the transmittal would say to the city that, we didn't feel comfortable committing ourselves and you to something with your objection in place. So,
Right.
but we didn't want to delay things any longer than is necessary for you. So this is how we passed it. Does that
I think
sound like
that,
it
I
makes
think that makes sense. I
Okay.
think that makes sense. And I would add a line in there that says, we're with you in this, new, venture. We understand it's not going to be perfect. We understand there's going to be issues, but this contract satisfies all of our requirements in the way that we, do our billing.
It works for our billing system, basically.
And it's ready to go.
Yeah.
After the period of time of development.
So do you want to, should the resolution, I'm just trying to sort of draft in motion, but or draft dynamic drafting. But should this be an approval from, or would you want this from the council from?
No, I think,
From the city manager.
I think, the objection came from the city manager.
Then I.
Or it came from actually the city finance director, but.
Yeah, but through the city manager.
Just say the city manager approves it and we could even say, if you feel like you need council approval, we're happy to wait
Well, and
to
I
the
guess-
city manager. Yeah.
we would want something back from the city manager confirming
Yeah.
that we're moving, that
Yeah.
they're okay
Upon-
moving
Oh, yeah.
forward with
Yes,
this.
he'll confirm.
Right.
This is acceptable to the city and say, we don't want to be delayed here, but we understand that if you need to talk to the council first, that's okay. We're happy
Yeah.
to wait.
I think
Although the pricing,
Upon
what's
confirmation.
what's
from
the
city's
pricing? It was 60
approval,
days, right?
The contract can be
From when?
signed.
You mean
The
the,
NISC.
How long is the quote good for?
yeah, it's on the very first page. I think it is 60 days.
So it should be
And
plenty
when
of
did it
time.
come in?
From what date?
From
though?
when though?
What's
Yeah.
the date on that?
9/13,
Okay, so we got plenty of time.
Yeah.
That's
You said
November.
60 days?
60
So it'd
days.
be November 13th.
Sorry, we talked about 60 days. I wanted to make sure I
No,
knew which
no.
one you're asking.
I got it.
I like the way John pays attention.
Yeah, so this will be, so the resolution will be amended to provide for, written approval. By the city manager,
Or from the city manager.
from the city manager.
To
To the terms of the contract. Yeah.
the general manager here.
Yes.
Yeah, written approval,
Yes.
communicated, by the judge.
And we
To
can,
the
and
general
it'll be,
manager.
I think we'll just leave it up to him whether he feels
Yeah.
like he needs.
But the transmittal might say to him, we understand, we understand that you need to talk to the council. And the pricing is good until the pricing
November
date. Yeah.
13th, yeah.
Okay, so I think what we'll do is, and I can read this into the resolution, but so in the final resolve of the resolution. Be it further resolved that subject to written approval. from the city McMinnville city manager to our general manager. The commission approves a purchase order to amend.
Yeah. What,
Okay,
Okay. Are you guys ready? You want to?
yeah, I think we're ready.
Go for it.
We're ready. Okay, resolution. So Sam, will you read it by title and then discuss the language of the additional
Right.
revision you put in?
Yes, I will do that. So this is resolution number 2022-20, a resolution of the city of McMinnville acted by and through its Water and Light Commission approving an amendment to a price agreement contract with National Information Services Cooperative Incorporated, NISC. And this resolution is as contained in the pack materials, however, amended in its final resolution paragraph as follows. Be it further resolved that subject to the written approval from the city of McMinnville city manager to the Waterline general manager, the commission approves a purchase order to amend the price agreement contract with NISC in a form approved by the commission's legal counsel for a total amount when combined with existing software services and equipment not to exceed the commission's annual expenditure authority for the NIC service system and authorize the mayor and the clerk to sign.
Okay.
That is the resolution with the amendment.
it's so good.
Second.
Okay, poll the commission, please, Trina.
Commissioner Tankersley,
Yes?
Commissioner Christensen,
Yes,
Commissioner Tate.
Yes.
Thank you. Good suggestions. And I think with the cover level.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think that.
Did they say how long it would take them to complete the program changes once this proposal? is
Those
submitted?
specific programming changes or just the project in
The
general?
project.
Right, and John,
Uh,
you're being recorded, so.
I'm sorry.
So-
I just wanted to know.
I believe if I remember right, 3 months. But the trigger was the signing of the contract. There has been a few things already taken place. They got us some, those numbers that we've already shared with the city of the initial queries from our data. To kind of give a forecast of what we're trying to accomplish with different rates and things like that to isolate those customers.
So John, you never heard a number lower than 3 months, and this generally has been from the date we've actually got the contract in place, is that?
From the date the contract is in place, because we can't plan anything, we can't schedule anything until that
Yeah.
contract is signed. And once the contract is signed, then we would look at the availability for a go live date.
Yeah.
And then there's 2 months of testing,
Right.
and then there's
And understanding, we're going to enter the holiday season here.
correct.
Is it 2 months of testing after they've developed? So it's 5 months?
So there's going to be 1 month of full testing and then a second month of testing, but there's going to be 1 month of getting ready to test. So
So it's a 3 month from begin to.
yeah, that's the 3 months, but your third month is a go live month.
And that's the best case scenario, right?
Best case,
Because
yes.
we had a delay earlier when their person that we were working with went on vacation for a couple
What,
of weeks.
can we build in notifications?
Resolution, no vacation.
Okay, well,
Okay,
thank you all very
I-
much. I think this is, I mean, we're really trying to be good partners here.
Yeah, and it sounds
I
like we're
can
almost
see
there.
that you really wanted to, get this moving ahead for the
Yes.
city, and I appreciate your work on that.
No, that's fine.
A lot. Yeah.
John has spent
Yeah,
a
John-
lot of time.
John has spent a lot
Really
of time and a lot of
appreciate it.
brain
Yeah, you bet.
cells too, so
Yeah.
Because we pride ourselves in good customer service.
we do. We do.
Doing that.
You're right, good point.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, is there anything else? John?
Executive session.
Oh, sorry.
That's
Oh,
right.
sorry, Thad.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you,
Have
John.
a good night.
Yes.
Thanks,
I'm
John.
gonna give these back.
I'll get it.
Get those shredded, please.
Thank you.
So
Thanks, John.
we're now ready to go back into executive session. This is an executive session pursuant to RS 192-660 sub F to consider information and records that are exempt from public disclosure under 192-355-23 relating to identifying security measures, individual building and information systems. We will of course, not be taking any action in executive session. We don't have any press with us. We will return to open session after this to take any action. I think we're ready to go.